Oif loy number. The simanei oif were not said. Are you telling me they're not listed? There's no simanim for oif. V'hatanya we learned in a brisa. Nesher. Nesher is one of the birds that the Torah lists off. There's 24 species of birds that the Torah lists off that are identified as oifes that are not tar. Ma nesher miyuchad. It has 4 strikes against it. She'ein lo etzba yaseir. It doesn't have that extra finger. V'zefek. It doesn't have a zefek, which is the crop. Ve'ein kurkavanoi niklaf. And its stomach does not have an inner lining that can be easily peeled off. And the 4th feature is v'doris v'oichel. And it's a bird of prey. And it is tomei. And that we'll see in direct contrast to a tor, which we know is a kosher bird. That's the one that's identified to be brought as a carbon, which has these 4 characteristics. Avkol kayotzeboy tomei. So too, anything with these 4 features will be tomei. And we're soon going to see that any one of these would be enough to make it tahar. And we'll have to see how the Gemara develops that. Torin, on the other hand, sheyesh lo etzba yisera, v'zefek, v'kurkavan, v'kurkavan niklav, and v'ein doroshen v'oichel, torin, av kol chayote ben torin. So you see the problem right over here. From the Nesher it's mashma, you have 4 features to be tamei, and from the Torah it's mashma, you need all 4 features to be Torah. In fact, you only need 1 feature to be Torah, and the Gemara is going to develop that now. Now, what we need to know is as follows. There are 24 species of birds that the Torah says are tamei. Now, one of them is a Nesher. Now, we're saying anything kayotzeboy. So does that mean there might be more birds than the 24 species that the Torah said are tameis? So Rashi, no. If you find a bird that has the features of a nesher, you'll say it's a species of a nesher. Because each of the birds that the Torah lists off, it doesn't mean one very narrow type of bird. It could be referring to the eagle family. So don't think that these simonim are adding other birds that the Torah doesn't list. The other thing we need to know is there's 4 simonim. Okay, the Torah has all 4, and the Nesher has 0 out of 4. 20 out of the 24 birds that are listed in the Torah have 3 out of the 4. They don't all have the same 3. And then there's the Orev that has 2 out of the 4. And then there's the Paris and the Oznia, which are 2 types of birds, that each have 1 out of the 4, but they don't share that 1. So which one they have, we don't know. But the Gemara is going to come out l'maskana is that the 3 out of 4 that the 20 birds have are limited to a set of 3. In other words, there's one of the 4 features of a behemoth Torah that none of those 20 birds have. So even though they have 3, they have the other 3. Okay?
So Nesher is the only one that has all 4.
That's missing all 4.
Missing all 4.
Correct. The Orev is missing. So most of the birds are missing 1, but they're all missing the same 1. The Orev are missing 2 out of those 3. The Paris and the Oznia, one of them is missing one of the ones that the other 3 also have, right? But the other one is missing the one specific one. It's the only one that's missing one of those 4 features. We don't know which one that is. We don't know if it's the Paris or it's the Oznia, but one of these 4 birds are missing that one feature. That it's the only bird that's missing that feature.
Only fun facts.
No, these are going to be very relevant. And I'm sharing them now so that it won't be so complicated as the Gemara develops.
So we know what all those species are?
So that's how, you'll see the long touches on this. Touches we know at least what Paris and Oznia are. As Rashi, we don't know what anything is. So if we bow Rashi, we don't know what anything is, so unless we know that it's kosher, we can't eat it. Touches what we mean, we know what this bird means, we know that bird. So there's a whole discussion, because when we talk about which simon that 4th simon is, we don't even know which simon is. Rashi, we don't know anything. Touches what I mean, we know what a Paris, we know what the Oznia is, and examine them, you'll see. So there's actually a machlokes as to how much clarity we actually have in this inyan. Okay, so Zok to Gemara. Amar Abaya, Le Nemar. So your kasha was, what do you mean? What do you mean Simon Oif loy number. We just had a brisa with Simon Oif. Amabaya loy number perushan midivrei Torah ela midivrei soifim. These simonim, that's not stated in the Torah, like by snapper and cascasses of a fish, but what's the Chullin's cut? I forgot. No, Shesa is a spehoof. Malagera, like Malagera and Shesa, right? Doesn't have that. Tani Reb Chia taught us, Oif haba b'simen echad tahar. If an oif even only has one of these four features, it will be tahar. You know why? Lefi she'ein daimel nesher. It's not like a nesher. Nesher the less like klal hu de loy seichel. Why does the Torah prohibit nesher? Because it has neither of these four features. Ha ika the islay chad. But if you find a bird that has one of these features, teichel, you can eat it. Frank the Gemara, who said you should look at it from that perspective? V'lo left me Torah. Ma Torah the ika kulu arba. Af hachanami, so to any bird, if you want to say it's kosher, adi ika kulu harba. Zakta Gemara, im kain, shar oifos tamein, the kosher v'achman alamali. If you're telling me you need to have all four features, so then all we needed was nesher and Torah, then why did the Torah have to list off all the other 24? We know they don't have all four features. So it must be, even if you have one of the four features, you could still be an oif tahar.
How does that answer that? That doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean?
The Torah does tell us the Torah, and the Torah does tell us Moshe. So by listing off the other 23 that are not,
it must be that the Torah holds that they will be mutar, and don't learn nesher that way. Obviously, the Torah says don't learn nesher that way, because if the Torah meant learn nesher that way, that anything that is missing any one of the four will be tamei, then we don't need nesher.
Does it list any of the Torah also?
No.
That's one.
Even Torah it doesn't list, but it doesn't. It just says that Torah goes for kavanah, so we know that it's going to be a kosher bird. Yeah. So Zok the Gemara, im kain shar oifis tamein the kosher from the lamali. So Zok the Gemara, okay, fine, but it does now say all those oifis, and a list of all those oifis that are not missing all four features, that are only missing one feature. So learn from all the oifis ha-tameos that the Torah does list. Those have three simone tahira. They don't have the fourth. Boom. So we could learn, just like their tamei, so too all birds who are missing even one feature should be tamei. Mahasam tlasa v'loyachliran afkol. So any bird that you'll find tlasa, if it only has three features, v'loy necha, we shouldn't eat it. And surely the orev I would know would be asur because it only has two features. V'chad and kol shekein the peres and the oznua, which only have one feature. Zok the Gemara im kain orev the kosher rachman alamuli. If you learn from all the other birds that if it's even missing one feature, it's going to be tamei. So why do I need a Torah to tell you b'chlal that an orev is tamei? Hashadis le'tlasa le'achlinan. Even if it has three features that are Timani Taira, you still can't eat 20 of those birds. This they trade the orev, which only has two of those features. Miboy, surely you shouldn't be able to eat it. So it must be that it's lav dafka. Zok to Gemara, okay, but then learn from the orev. They learn from the orev. Orev has two mahosam trey loy. Afkol, so to any other bird that only has two simani tahira loy, you shouldn't be able to eat. Zok to Gemara, that's not either raya, because imkain peres v'ozniya the kosher rachman alamali. Why does the Torah have to tell you that if a bird only has one simone tahira, that it's going to be usher to eat? Madach by an orev, hashid the islay trey lo yachlinon, the islay chad miboy. Zok to Gemara, okay, so then v'nigmar mi peres v'ozniya. Learn from peres v'ozniya that even if it only has one, it's going to be tamei. Zok Gemara in Cain, Nesher the kosher rachman alamali. Why do I need Nesher? Hasha the islay chad lo yachlinon, if it even only has one simon.
I only asked that right away after the sleep.
Mati, you saw the side of the daf on the first Amud? It was very small. Can you imagine? It would be missing for half, it would be smaller. It would be like Rabbi Kama, for Mitamat Mazoichlin. Zok Gemara, Hasha the islay chad lo yachlinon. the less like klal mibay, surely if it has no simonim at all, you can't eat it. El nesher, the less like klal, hu de seichel. Therefore, we have to conclude that the nesher, which has no simone tahir at all, that's a bird that the Torah specifically prohibits. Ha de is leichad, if it has even one siman tahira, echol, you're allowed to eat it. Okay, so now the Gemara is going to come at this from a different angle.
Then what about Paris and Osnia?
So what do you need all those for?
No, you just said it. The Gemara just said you can eat it if it has one simone tahira.
That's right.
And the Paris and Osnia.
Because the Torah specifically said not. Right, so there's a lot of birds that have one siman tahira, two siman
But it's not
tahira,
listed.
but the Torah listed them. Paris and Osnia, the Torah listed.
So there's no general.
A lot of birds with that feature, you won't necessarily assume is going to be like a Paris and
The
Osnia.
answer is there is no rule. That's exactly what the Mishnah says.
If it's not,
It's only relevant if you, the Gemara is going to fear us. It's relevant if you're in the wild and you don't know any birds, and you find a bird with zero features,
Don't eat it.
and you know it's not an eagle, then maybe you could eat it.
It has zero features.
I don't. Let's see. We'll finish the Gemara. We'll see. But that it will be relevant.
there
This
is
rule.
more birds than a Torah list.
There's no more tame birds in the Torah list. There's no any bird that's tame will fit into one of these categories. Zok the Gemara. We'll see. The Gemara is going to fear us. The Ella Taima the cause of Rachman and Nesher. So you're telling me the whole way we know that even one feature could be metaher, a bird, is because the Torah said Nesher, as we proved going through this sequence. Halav, what if the Torah would not have said Nesher? You're telling me Havamina Leilaf mi Paris v'Osnia? You would think that just like Paris and Osnia, which only has one siman tahira, it's Tameh who had in any bird that only has one siman tahira will be Tameh. You wouldn't be able to learn it from it anyway. You know why? Because have a Paris v'Osnia shnei ksuv ma'bam kechad, u'shnei ksuv ma'bam kechad and malamtin. We know there's a rule. If the Torah says something once, you can make a big av, you could teach it to other things. But if the Torah says it by two different inyanim, you might ask, why would the Torah say it a second time if you could have learned it for the first? The Torah is trying to tell you in this particular case, don't learn anywhere else. It's only these two places that are itemized. So Paris is itemized, and Osnia is itemized with one siman. Still, it's going to be also la'achila. So you wouldn't be able to learn it to the rest of the Torah because the Torah specified two. Zakt Gemara, but there's a problem. Because Gemiri, we learned the Ika Bahai, Leka Bahai. We know that the one siman that's by the Paris is not by the Osnia. They don't share the same siman tahira. So kum techais u'de Ika Bahai, Leka Bahai. So Obazai is not Shnik Shemar Okachot because we need the Torah to say that this siman won't do it, and we need the Torah to say that that siman won't do it. So Obazai, why can't you learn from Paris and Osnia? Because you're saying if we're learning from Nesher, you would learn from Paris and Osnia, but it seems like so you could learn from Paris because if it wasn't from Nesher, you would learn from Paris and Osnia. So that's the Gemara's answer. So Michti, let's analyze this for a second. It's still going to be Shnei Ksubah Mam Ke'echad. Why? Because Esrim Varba Oifos Tameim Havu. We know there's 24 types of birds that are Tamei. Now, Efsher the Chad the Ika Bahanach Leka Bahani. There must be some overlap, meaning the 20 birds that have the three simone tahira, and one of them, some of them must have one of the two that the Osnia have. So come to Reis, because one of the 20 birds, let's say has this. Let's say that the unique siman that the Osnia has is the crop, right? So there's going to be another bird out there that also has a crop, and that also does not have a crop, right? That also does have a crop, it has one siman tahira, just like the Osnia, and the Torah listed it. So you see the Torah said twice that if the animal has a crop, it won't help. So it's still going to be Shnei Ksubah Mam Ke'echad. But the fact that it has other problems,
It'll have Kurkum as well.
yeah, but the fact that it has other simane tahira will help make it treif.
No, but within 24 birds, there's two that have the same simonim, and the Torah still lists it. Why is that considered Shnei?
No, because the way it works is out of the 20 birds, they all have three of the same simonim. of which one of them is also by the Paris and the Osnia.
Of course.
What?
I don't think
Of
he's
course.
saying the Paris and the Oznia is the Shnei Ksum by the Kachod.
That was it.
Originally it was. Now we're saying either the Paris or the Osnia with one of the other two.
I don't think so.
Let's look at Rashi. Michti.
I
Chaf Daled.
believe out of the 20.
Okay, Tlosa Hajim. Here we go. So let's look at the Gemara. Look at Rashi. So Zog the Gemara. Michti Etzim V'Arba Oifes Tameim Havu. I Efshir the Chad the Ika Bahanach Leka Bahani. V'Havaluhu Shnei Ksuv Mabam Kechot. So let's look. Michti. So Rashi. Chaf Daled Oifes Tameim Hein. Uvechulu Is Gimel Simoni Tahira Bar Me'orev. They all have only 3 Simoni Tahira, except for the Orev, which we know has 2. The Efshir the High the Isei Beparis. Lesei bechad mahani. It's impossible that the one siman tahira that the Paris has is not at least by the others as well. V'hadi isei be'oznia lesei bechad mahani. The one that's by the oznia might not be by one of those. I'm sorry. V'hadi isei lesei bechad mahani. So it's impossible that the 2 individual simonim that the Paris and the Osnia have will not reoccur somewhere in the other 20 birds. Because of them, Trey Zimne, so the Torah tells us 2 times. The Torah lists off each of these birds individually that you can't eat it. And in 2 of these birds, it has the simon of the Paris, and in 2 of these birds, it has the simon of the Osnia. So because of them, Trey Zimne, B'chol Chad, the Leisechle, the Husimana. So therefore it will not be, it's because whatever simon the Paris has and whatever simon the Osni has, one of the other birds have, so automatically that makes it Shnei Kshuva Ram Kechad. So we're back to square one. Why do we need Nesher to say that unless you're missing all 4 simonim, you're going to be Tmeya? Why can't you need it because why do I need Nesher for? Anyway, I wouldn't be able to learn it from the other birds because it's next to Babam Kechot.
It's got to be more than one. How many different permutations and combinations can you make out of 20 birds with 3 simonim? There's not that many.
Sure, it's got to be at least more than one. The main thing is more. If it's more than one.
So is it only Shnei Ksum or even?
No, you can know. It's possible that 19 out of the 20 birds have the simon of the Paris, and only one of the 20 birds have the simon of the Osnia. So there's at least one. That's what the Gemara is arguing.
Consider Shnei Ksum if it's not exactly the same one.
Yes. Yes. That's specifically discussed by the Achronim. Yeah, because we're talking about if you only have one simon, you're going to be osir. So vos gate mechad if there's another 2 simonim there. The fact that it has the simon is going to be osir. What? Yeah, but the Torah says it's osir. So it didn't help. The other 2 simonim didn't help.
Right. So why are we picking on the last 2 that only have 1? We could have picked on any of these 20. Just put 2 together and they're probably the same.
Because we were saying that the Paris and the Osnia might have a unique simon. So we need to show that there's no uniqueness, because whatever simon the Paris and the Osni have, even though they have 2 different simonim, it's for sure shared by one of the other birds. So therefore the Paris will be Shnei Ksum Bam Kechad with one of the birds of the 20, and the Osnia will be Shnei Ksum Bam Kechad with one of the birds of the 20. So therefore Shnei Ksum Bam Kechad Ein Olamdim, so why do I need Nesher to tell us that even one simon would be enough? Zok to Gemara, Gemiri we learned, Esem Abba Oifes Tamim Havu, Varba Simonim Tlosa Hadri Bechulu. Out of the 4 simonim, 3 out of those 4 are shared by most Bechulu Esem. The 20 birds that are not the Paris, Osnia, and Nesher, those and Orev, the 20 birds that are not the Nesher, Paris, Osnia, and Orev, they all have 3 of these same simonim.
Or the same simonim?
Now that the Gemara is now saying that now the Gemara is saying they have the same simonim. So Tlosa Haji Bechulu Esrei Mehem Shloisha Utrei Ba'ariv, and 2 out of those 3 exist by the Ariv, and Chad Beperes V'Chad Ba'oznia, the Isa B'ha Lesa B'ha. And there's one by a Paris and one by an Osnia. Meaning, out of the two Simonim, that one exists by the Paris and one by the Osnia, one of them is definitely similar, or is one of the other three, because you only have four to pick from. But the last one, which either exists by the Paris or by the Osnia, is unique, and it doesn't, that simon you'll only find by either the Paris or Osnia, depending on which bird it is. So Ma'ad Leilif Minei, that's why Kasser B'Chamana Nesher. Nesher, the less like Klal, Hu Delei Seichel, Ha Ika De Ist Leichad Echel. If you can find a bird that only has one simon, you can eat it, because there's only one bird that only has one unique simon that no other bird has. And that is either the Paris or the Osnia, we just don't know which one. And you could have learned from there, that if it even has one simon, it would be treif. That's why the Torah says Nesher, to tell us that only if it's missing all four simonim can you assume it's treif. So let's have a look at Rashi. I'm sorry. Now Rashi is not perfectly clear, but the Arshkol explains Rashi with a little bit of extra taste from the Ran and the Kreitzu Plesi. Hashloisha chayzrun b'chulim. The same three simonim are existent in all of the 20 birds that have 3 out of 4. It's the same 3. Klomer kulon ben min sheyesh leishloisha dahainu esher. So all of the birds from the ones that have 3 simonim have the same 3 simonim. Dahainu esher minayu. Ubein oyev the yesh loy beis. Oisen beis me'elu shloishahim. Even though Erev that has 2, it's still 2 from that set of 3 that's shared by all the other birds. The Haravi and the 4th simon, there's one simon that's unique that only one bird has, either the Paris or the Osnia. And one of the 3 is repeated either Iba Pras, Iba Osnia, we just don't know which one. So out of the Paris and Osnia, one of them shares the same simon as one of the 3 that the rest of the birds have, and the simon that's unique to only one bird is the other one, either Paris or Osnia, for Revi Yeshna B'Chaveri. So from that one bird, which is definitely not Shnei Ksuvah Bam Kechad, from that one bird you would have been able to learn that even if a bird has only one simon, it's going to be a Tmeya. V'nimsa sheshimin zeh lo neymar ela pamach, which is only mentioned once. So therefore, lesser oif above b'simin echad be'ezim mikol asimonim alalu. Maybe bring a raya that if an oif only has one simon, it's still a tmeya. The halei yadinan. Now Rashi with any simon. Why any simon? The only simon that we don't have shnei ksuvah b'am echad is that specific simon that specific bird has. So let's check out the parish if that's the unique one. See what simon is, and we can prove that a bird with that simon doesn't help. But how do you disqualify one simon from the other 3? You help what the problem is? If we can identify the Paris.
But on the big you don't know which one it is.
So that's the whole problem. So Rashi goes, Yedina and Ma'anil, Hai Simna. We know that there's one simon that's unique to this bird, but we don't know which bird it is, and we don't know what simon it is. So we're completely in the dark. If we would know which one, you would say that this simon alone, you can learn the Ola Tarkula to all birds that are going to work. But we don't know. So therefore we would have to answer everything. And that's what Tosfos argues, because Tosfos writes, at the 3rd wide line, here we know it. And he brings right that we have more of a knowledge of birds than Rashi said.
They know what bird it is.
What?
They know what bird it is.
Yeah, Tosfos brings, we know what bird it is, and we can see.
Find the bird.
Well, that's exactly what Tosfos' kasha is. But Rashi held that we don't know what it is. We don't know what these birds are. So therefore they're in the dark. So therefore, we could learn, we would potentially be able to learn from either Paris or Osnia or L'Chola Tarkula that a bird, even with one simon, would be a Tmei.
That's why you need the Torah.
Yeah, that's why you have the Gemara. So Zok the Gemara, so now that you've totally eliminated any limit from the Torah, which says you need 4 simon, I mean, you don't. You only need 1 simon to be Torah, right? And we learned it from Nesher. Nesher is the main purpose of the limit. So the Torah, the Kazakh only. So why B'chlal the Torah tell us about Torah? Zok Rashi. We're not really learning anything out of Torah. And if it's to teach us that the Torah is Torah, we already know if it even has 1 simon, it's going to be Torah. And for the Gemara, Amar Ukva Bachama L'Karban. Now this L'Karban is a little bit difficult to explain because we don't need the Torah here to tell us that it's L'Karban, because the Torah so many times mentions that for carbon it's Torah B'Reina. So Rashi has to massage it a little bit. So let's see Rashi. L'Karban, Shehein Levadon Ksheim L'Karban V'loi Oifacher. Only the Torah is a mutter for a carbon and not other birds. V'hayde Ketani Lahu Tana Lo'il. But the Tana says that Torah is an example, and it said the Ka'amar Av Kol, all birds that have 4 simanim are Torah, like the Torah, really lo itzrich lemelach minayu midi simani tahira. We don't really need, even though the Tana is saying that, but it doesn't really mean that we need to rely on the Torah to teach us anything when it comes to simani tahira. Because we already know from Nesher that a bird even with only 1 siman would be Torah. Ella simna ba'alma oirilon. All the Tana was doing was creating a contrast between a Nesher and a Torah, just for informational purposes, but not really halacha l'maisa. She'ein lohen simani Torah, oison she'nesher v'atorah chalukum b'hen. Just to highlight, so we could understand and compare what these simani Torah are. You compare the Nesher to the Torah. The Torah has all 4, the Nesher has 0, and it'll be easier for us to see. It's like a visual aid. They were also, on the cusp of making a Maris Lichel Streifus. There is the Gasi, and the Torah, the Katoni, Tana Lamai Hilchusa. There's another verse that the question is not why Torah are mentioned in the Torah. The question is why the Tana even brought up Torah. So it goes on. But that is the Gemara's Torah. The Torah really is not teaching us anything to do with kashrus. We know that all from Nesher, that unless a bird has 0 simanim, you will say that it could be a ksher. So Amar Nachman, if you're a baki in the Paris and Osnia, so Rashi, if you know exactly which bird is which, well then would be tar. Then if you run into a bird that has 1 siman, you could assume it's tar, provided you can identify that it's not a Paris and not an Osnia. As Rashi says above, if you know that it's not a Paris and Osnia that you found, and therefore, if you find any bird that has 1 siman and it's not a Paris and it's not an Osnia, then you could be reassured that it's a kosher bird. Aval Shmoi Paris, but if it's called Paris, well then Chashina and Shema Minahu, maybe it's one of the birds that the Torah made exertion upon, that even though it has 1 siman, it's still going to be a Tameah. But but if he wasn't intimately familiar with the different birds and their names, then b'siman echad tamei. If you find a bird with 1 siman, then you have to say it's tamei, because you don't know if this is the Paris and if this is the Osnia. But b'shnei simanim, if you have that 2 simanim, so now it doesn't matter if it's a Paris and Osnia. It can't be a Paris and Osnia. It's 2 simanim, but it could still be an erev. So that's tar v'hu sheyakir erev. That's only if he can identify what an erev looks like and know that this bird that he found with 2 simanim is not an erev. Without sheyakir erev.
Sorry, to clarify.
But we know what it
had
is.
2 and all the others had 3.
Correct. Except for the Paris and Osnia, which had 1.
We know what an Erev is. Now we know.
Well, I don't know if we know what an Erev is. There's a lot of discussion on what it is. If you look at the art scroll, there's such a discussion amongst the Rishonim and Achronim what these species are. Yeah, it's not so partial at all. It's not so partial. Okay, so this is where I got up to, but we have a couple of minutes, so either we can stop now. So on average, I finish at 6:40, or let's say we push a couple of lines. Are you telling me that there's no other bird that this could be if it has 2 simani tahira, either an orev or it's kosher? For a time we learned, orev ze orev leminoi, because it says it's orev leminoi. Orev ze orev leminoi. Rabbi Eliezer Omer lahavi es hazarzir. So there's other birds that will also fall into the category of erev. Rashi says the ishtrunil. Does the article say what it is?
No, it just says a certain type of
Okay. Amar lo Rabbi Elazar, v'haloi anshe kfar Tamrosa shebe Yehuda, people from this particular city, hayu oichlin oison, would eat the zarzir, mipnei sheyesh lohen zefek, because it has a zefek. Zot Rashi, ve'ein zemer oison shnei simonim shebe oirev. The two simonim that the oirev has, is one of them is not the zefek. So if this zarzir that they're talking about had a zefek, then it can't be mimin oirev. Umikol mokoim ein lo el shnayim. But it's still a bird that only has two simonim. So Rashi just woke us up now with a new possibility. Until now we thought that the only bird that has two simonim is the oirev. Now we know that there's another bird that has two simonim, and actually they ate it. They ate it. Rabbi Elazar, according to Rabbi Elazar, I guess this bird hung out with ravens, so they say birds of a feather flock together. So that's why Rabbi Eliezer identified it as a raven. Uchedetanya, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Lo Yachinam Zarzer Hoylech Eitzel Orev, Ela Mepnei Shahuminoi. So Zok to Gemara, so you see they ate it, Mepnei Sheishlam Savak, Omer Lahem, Rabbi Eliezer told them, Af Hein Asidin Litein Esadin. They're going to get petch for it, because in fact they're really not allowed to eat this zarzir. Davar acher lemineu is lahavi senunis lavana. Rashi says it's an arundaila. Does he say the zarzir touch what that is? So some type of bird. Diver abelazar.
Also part of the raven family.
That's right. Amaloi. I vale anche galil ha'elyon oichlon oisai mepnei shesher kerkavanin niklaf. It has that siman. Amalahem ein echanami afein asid and litnas adin. El oirev v'chol min oirev. Any type of oirev zokt Rabbi Eliezer is going to be
All the
osir.
same.
Even if it's two different simonim, that's right. So the category of oirev means there's two simonim, and we're not even identifying which ones. Okay, let's stop here.
Yosy.
Yes.
Yosy. Hi.
Hi.
We got